Welcome back to World Motorsports. Yes, here's a venue we've never been to before, USA International Raceway, and that's in the middle of Florida. And here is a big story indeed. The number 84 Red Bull Toyota Camry, the full NASCAR Cup car, about to be driven by an Englishman, Ben Collins. Shock absorber adjustments on the Team Red Bull car. There is under the hood, as they say. Toyota, of course, moving into the Cup class last year, and there is Ben Collins discussing the car with the team's test driver, Tim Federer. Tim, of course, had a successful career in the Busch Series, won 4 races over the years. And very interesting to see Ben driving this car. Of course, a lot of experience in oval racing at Rockingham. Won the NASCAR series back, I think, 2003. So a big moment for him, and just about to become the first Englishman to drive a NASCAR in what, some 30 years. Getting in the car, which was raced last year by AJ Allmendinger, the other Red Bull car raced by Brian Vickers, and Brian had quite a bit of success in the season with what is a very new project indeed. Ben, of course, is hoping that this test could launch him into a career in America. Lots of experience, we said, on the ovals, lots of experience in Formula 3 at Le Mans with Ascari and others, and a very personal young man who has a parallel TV career going as well. Team manager here, or crew chief as they call it in America, is Randy Cox. Incidentally, Red Bull have a sister team which runs in the ARCA series, and that's where Scott Speed has recently been racing. Ben just finding out the grip levels here on this banked USA International Speedway here at Lakeland, Florida, 3/4 mile long with 14-degree bank turns. This is the venue for the Hooters Pro Cup race and an ARCA Rematch Series race as well. And Ben coming to grips very well with the Camry here. Of course, the other Briton to drive one of these cars recently is Dario Franchitti for the Ganassi team, and Ben bringing it back down into the pit apron, kept it off the wall, and doing an outstanding job here. A lot of pressure on his shoulders. The Toyota engineers analyse the data.
Where you're at, you're not. That's
bit of a debrief with Tim Federer from Ben Collins. Also on pit lane, the 2008 cars for the Red Bull team, still in the primer grey. That's the way they often run them at the start of the season in the tests. And Federer also shaking down these 2 brand new cars from this team, which is directly owned by Dieter Mateschitz. And as Federer climbs aboard the 83, we can hear the comments of Ben Collins.
That was absolutely awesome. I've never driven anything like that in my life. I mean, it's got a huge amount of power, but it was still quite stable with the car. 800 horsepower, is that about right?
Yeah, should be about 800 to the rear tires.
Yeah,
I'm glad you had fun with it.
Yeah, it's great. But in total, how many laps we do there? About 20 in total?
Yeah, about 25.
Yeah, but the times, my time started to drop away with each run. Is that pretty?
Yeah, as the fuel burns off and the tires get older, you know, they get abused as you come up off the corner, spinning them and whatnot.
Yeah,
time slows down slightly.
But it's fairly close to the mark, you reckon, in terms of what lap times we're doing?
Yeah, we could have tuned on the car and got you right down there where everybody else would run.
Yeah,
did a really good job.
But it's set. You reckon at the moment it's a car set to push on, because I can, from the middle of the corner, I can start feeling it. It's got getting extra steering on, and it's not quite going, but that's pretty normal for these cars.
Yeah, we probably had it set a little bit tighter than normal, but that's the characteristic of these particular cars. They're, they have a little bit of understeer to them.
Yeah, it's quite, I mean, a strange feeling for me usually, because go to track. Never been to Lakeland in Florida before, and I've never driven a Nextel Cup car. And everything's really overwhelming. You've got lots of power and grip and all this stuff. But it turned out I think the 7th lap was the best lap, and after that, it felt like you're driving it much deeper on the brake pedal, going, carrying speed and sort of working the steering more. And actually, the car's going slower. Yeah, it's quite strange. I mean, that's the big thing with these, is managing the tyres. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, and charging the corner doesn't always work with these things. Sometimes you have to slow the entry up so that you can get down to the line and actually pick up the throttle earlier and lengthen the straightaway. Yeah. Usually how you make time with these things, because they're just so big and heavy. Yeah.
So how did I do? Okay?
Oh, I thought you did a wonderful job. I've seen a lot of people get in and out of these cars, and some of them come in that look like they've seen ghosts. And didn't have that issue with you. You didn't do anything stupid. I mean, if I'd been driving, I'd probably spun out leaving the pits. But I think you did a really good job.
I tried to work on that, yeah. Actually, did you bring contract with you? Because I was going to say, where can I sign for next season?
I think we're typing it up right now as we speak.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Actually, I mean, seriously, if you wanted to get into your team, obviously you've got the 2 main drivers, but you've got a support program with ARCA. Is that that's the route for your development program? That's where your test drivers start out?
Normally, yes.
Yeah, so that'd be the thing to do. So if I go and race your ARCA car, and then maybe in 2 years I can come back and drive this again.
That'd be cool.
All right, cool. I don't know how we talked Red Bull into letting me into this Sprint Cup NASCAR, but I'm immensely grateful they let me out on the track. And I think they're very brave, because I've never raced on a short track before, let alone a short track with this kind of banking in an 800 horsepower car that weighs 1,400 pounds is completely different to anything I've ever driven before. But actually the hardest thing is just getting in the car, getting past all the driver restraints, the safety stuff. Once you're in there, felt really comfortable. And the grip that this car gives you, the aero grip and the grip from the tyres, actually balances that power, and the car is completely sorted, so it was nothing like what I thought. I expected the car to be sliding in the corners and to be up into the wall all the time and be very close. And actually, once you get used to it and dial in, it's really, you get a really good feel for the car straight away. And my quickest lap was the 7th lap, and after that, you're just chasing the tyres as they deteriorate, basically. And NASCAR mostly is about the drivers and the teams managing those tyres to make them last the long distances. And today I've done maybe 20 miles, and these guys race on these short tracks for 500 miles, which is unbelievable. You get quite hot there. You work up a little sweat just by doing a few laps around here on your own. And you imagine doing that on this tight track with 42 cars, nose to tail, bump drafting down the straights and slamming into the side of each other's door. It's just impressive. And they talk about these guys being heroes. There's no doubt that's true. And one day I think if I get an opportunity to drive with these guys again, I'd love to think that I could contest in some of these cup races too. I've never been to this track in my life, so the test driver for Red Bull, Tim Federer, gave me some pointers this morning and just said, as you're coming off of turn 4, what you want to aim for is that dark patch of rubber on that wall there. Just to add that patch of rubber was not done by me. I think that was Tim on a previous lap. But basically, the lines on these short tracks are very specific, and you turn into the corners much, much earlier than you would expect. But the key thing is that when you pick up the power, you get hard on it and you make a big commitment. And the line there, you can see the groove where the dark track goes, and you're basically unwinding the lock as the car starts to drift towards that dark patch. Come out any earlier, you're almost certainly going to hit the wall.
So let's hope that Ben Collins has a future in NASCAR racing. We'll be back after the break here on World Motorsports.